So we made it to the woods. I'm surrounded by beautiful trees and shrubs, bushes, and plants. So I'm happy. I brought some tea with me. It's actually an herbal infusion that I made, and it has nettles and cleavers. And yeah, the cleavers are the sticky weeds. I love nettle infusions. I think they're amazing, especially for women. They're full of iron, full of magnesium and lots of minerals and vitamins. So they really aid our bodies when they need extra nourishment, especially during the different phases of our cycles. And now I'm bleeding, so it's nice to have that extra nourishment. Okay, so I'm gonna answer to... Where's my phone, by the way? I'm gonna answer to some of... Yeah, he's here. I'm gonna answer to some of the questions that I received both on Instagram and on YouTube. A few days ago I asked if anyone had a question, so I could make maybe a Q&A video, very like easy video where I just sit and knit with you and chat in front of a camera in the woods. And I received beautiful questions, so thank you so much. It's so much fun to think about the answers and to, you know, see what people are interested in. So let me just jump straight into it and see if I can be a bit quicker in answering these questions. So the first question I know is from my sister. She loves animals. I think she has an incredible power in reading them, and I think animals can communicate with her. I think so. In a very, you know, calming and communicative way. I don't know, like, she understands animals really much. And she asked this question, which I think is an amazing question to ask to people to get to know them. I mean, she knows me very well, but she asked me this question, and it's, what kind of animal would you like to be? So I think it's a beautiful question. So let's explore this question. I have a friend, Anna. She sometimes asks this question to people that she meets, and it's not exactly this question. I think she asks, what's your spirit animal? And I always thought it was a beautiful question to ask. But this question is a little bit different. Is what kind of animal would you want to be, or would you like to be? And I honestly think that all animals have lots to teach us and lots to, you know, learn from. And I like many animals. Not all of them, honestly. I don't have that bond with every animal, but I like many animals. But recently I've been encountering a fox. I believe it's a she, but I have no idea. She just hangs around like the garden of a neighbor. There are a lot of chickens. And she hangs around there at sunset, and she just looks at them. She can't get in. I think she's been trying to get in, but my neighbor knows that, and he kind of protected the chicken in a way that there are no points of entrance, but she hangs around there, and I know it because I've met her 3 times already. And once I met her that I was in the car with Mike, and I actually filmed her, so maybe I can put a little clip here. Just when you walk away. But she was already walking away, and she has this amazing, she's very fearless, because she doesn't, when we met the first time, she didn't move. Like, she was just looking at me, sitting, you know, and just looking at me. We weren't so close to one another, but like 3 meters distant. So it was very magical for me. And I thought, I think I have to learn a lot from you, and maybe I can, you know, I could be a fox. But I think I am more like a bird. I really strive for freedom, you know, and liberty, and I love that from birds. So I think, yeah, I think I would like to learn a lot from foxes, their fearless attitude, and they're this kind of clever and very, you know, private animal. But also I am very interested in eagles. I think eagles are just so austere and fierce, and, you know, they're very scary in their look. But I think they're just beautiful, beautiful birds, beautiful animals. So also an eagle. Then they mate, I think they mate for life, which I think is very beautiful. So I also like eagles. That's a huge question, by the way, to answer, because I think many animals have lots that I would like to have. That makes sense? To be? I don't know. But thank you, Tatsala, for this question. So, okay, another question. I'm trying to be quicker, because otherwise it's gonna take forever. Where and how can I purchase wooden earrings from you? So I decided I'm gonna make more small wooden creations. I'm not gonna make too many right now, because I'm gonna travel. I'm gonna go to visit my sister in Dublin in Ireland soon in May. So I'm just gonna make a couple of things these days and then sell them, and then when I come back I'll make more. 2 people actually contacted me, and they haven't received the wooden buttons that they bought, and that made me so sad. I told them that I'm very sorry, and I refunded the order. It was really sad that they didn't receive these buttons, and I think that's not really in my power, unfortunately, because even if the Italian postal system, it's a bit, you know, I mean, I think it's working overall, but at some point is not another country gets in charge to the package. If you are living abroad, for example in the US in this case, some people in the US receive the package, also in Canada and in other parts of the world. So it's these 2 people, they didn't receive the package, and I'm super sorry. I already told them, and I want to make sure that you know that there is the tracking option. Unfortunately, it costs double. I'm not just, you know, pumping up the price. I don't want to earn money from the shipping. I just, you know, it's just something that unfortunately is like that. It costs more, the tracking option, but I think that will ensure like we will know where your package gets stuck or where your package is, so you can track it. And I think that's the most clever thing to do right now. Otherwise I'll have to, you know, contact a private or like another shipping company, and it will cost a lot more for just very tiny objects. I don't think it makes sense to pay super much, you know, and unfortunately this is the situation. If I find better deals in the future, I'll definitely make sure to update you on that. But that kind of made me just a little bit, you know, not really excited to sell things online if people don't receive the things that I made. And yeah, this is one of the stitch markers that I made. I really like stitch markers that are handmade, so I think I'm gonna make more. So you can buy them soon from me, I hope. And yeah, just know that if you want your package to be tracked, you'll need to pay a little bit more. Once I, send the package to the post office, then I'm not in control anymore. Whereas if we track the shipping, that will give us a little bit more information on where the package can be or is. So there is the answer. Or where, you also ask where you can purchase them. So I think I'll still put them on Ko-fi. We are working on a little website, so you can, maybe in the future you could buy things from the website, but I don't know. We'll see. Right now, Ko-fi I think is the easiest option for me. We'll see. Ko-fi, I think you can buy them on Ko-fi. I'll let you know. Okay, so your feeling about cable patterns, love them or hate them? I am not a fan of cable patterns. I think I don't hate them, nor I love them. They're not my favorite type of knit. And I think that the cable sweaters and patterns that I've seen are very classy. So they're very elegant and nice, I think, and kind of a bit classy, and they have this kind of a bit traditional, classy look. Does that make sense? But I think I'm more like I like a lot more like a wooden fairy type of patterns, type of clothings. I like some floral color work. I like, texture work like this. Here I think there is a little bit of a cable, but it's not so much at all. I like, kind of fairy, wooden fairy type of clothes. I like hobbit type of clothes. I don't know if I'm really a classy person in my style, at least not right now. So I don't know. I'm not cable patterns, just not my favorite, I guess. I knitted a couple of things with cables and it wasn't horrible. It was quite easy actually, but if I have to pick between cable patterns and any other type of knit, I will pick any other type of knit. So, how did you start knitting and how did you get into it? I received this question twice, so I don't know if it's a long answer. I'm gonna try to be quick. So I think I started knitting in 2018. When I was in school, like when I was a child, I went to a Waldorf school and we did some Waldorf schools are very artistic type of school. So we had a lot of laboratories, like artistic laboratories, and we also learned to knit. We knitted a couple of, like a pair of socks or something. But then my knitting journey stopped there, like started and stopped there. And then in my adult life, like in 2018, I started knitting again out of necessity, to be honest, and out of I had this strong, I was kind of this strong advocate for sustainable practices, and I am still, but I'm more like chilled about it. At that time I really didn't want to buy any new thing. I was really like looking into zero waste practices, and so I didn't want to buy new clothes, but at that time I just moved to Sweden, and I just had the backpack with a few clothes. It was September and it started to get colder, and I really needed some winter stuff. I really needed kind of like a hat and a scarf, so I thought instead of buying it even secondhand, I want to learn to make it myself. So that's where I started to make lots of hats and lots of scarves. Didn't follow any pattern. I didn't even know there were patterns, I think. So it was completely like out of necessity, but also out of this kind of strong, I want to make my own things and live sustainably, which I think is a great skill to have. So I'm really happy I started knitting. My grandmother and my mom would knit a lot when I was younger. Then now they're not knitting anymore, but that was also very inspiring for me. And so the first, I think, 3 years of, or 2.5 years of my knitting journey, it was just, I just knitted hats and scarves, and I think a pair of socks for Mike, and that's it. And I did like, I was just producing so many hats, not so many, but I would knit probably like a month a year, you know, in the winter, and make some hats for my family, friends, and Mike and me. And then during the pandemic, I picked up again knitting, and I knitted my first ever knitted pattern, which was the Ripple Bralette by Jessie Maid design. Because I saw it, I was doing some yoga and I needed like a yoga top, and I was like, this looks really beautiful. And I remember a person that knitted it said that it was fairly easy, so I was like, let me try, and actually it was quite easy. So I started to knit many of those, but I still wouldn't knit as much as I'm knitting now, for example. It was just like a couple of, you know, projects a year even, I think, or maybe 3-4 projects a year, and that's still all right, but it's not, you know, like right now at least. And I started to knit for real, like a lot, like with the more structure this summer. I did a small online course on how to knit a sweater. I think I did it on Skillshare. I just, you know, typed out to knit a sweater, and there was this really nice, super detailed and really well structured course where they explained how I could knit a sweater. Like, it was a top-down raglan, simple raglan sweater, and it was really nice, really easy pattern. I understood a lot about gauging and different yarn weights and needle sizes. Before that, I would just pick up random needles and random yarns and just knit, you know, and hope for the best. So I would say that my real knitting journey began a year ago, like where I kind of created garments that I'm very proud of. But, you know, in 2018 is where actually everything, I think, started. My God, this is probably a long answer. What kind of craft would you like to learn? I think that my first answer would be weaving. I want to learn to weave baskets. I think that weaving basket is one of the most beautiful craft ever. It's not the most beautiful because there are many, but it's the one that I'm very interested and excited to get into. I collaborated last year with some weaving basket artisans during my thesis project, and this basket is my favorite object that I own, I think, probably, and was made by them. And I love this, and it's beautiful because it's made out of foraged materials, and that's, I think, the power of this craft, is that you don't have to almost buy anything. You don't need any tools, I think, almost maybe a knife. So it's very, you just need your hands and some of the branches and the materials that you find around you. Now maybe I oversimplified it, but I think it's beautiful, the fact that it's, very, is based on the things that you find around you, and that's, for me, so inspiring. So weaving baskets, I want to learn to weave with my own pace. And I think there is a fair, weaving basket fair, at the end of May in this region. So I think I'm gonna go and see if maybe there are some workshops so I could start learning. I made also a video when I was collaborating with these two beautiful artisans, and they kind of explained a bit how to do it, but I was focused more on their story rather than on learning. So that's a shame, but I'm gonna learn sooner or later, slower or faster, who knows. That's my answer. I also would like to start sewing, but that's a bit stressful at the moment. I don't know, it gives me a bit of anxiety. So I'm just gonna pause on that. What would your perfect self-care day look like? I love this question. I think I'm a self-care queen. No, but I love self-care practices. Not all of them, but I love pampering. I love it. Like, I love to put stuff on my hair, to put stuff on my face, and just be like that for as long as I can. But I think recently, I mean, it all depends on what stage of my life or of my week or month I am in. But I think overall my perfect self-care day would be hiking. I like to hike a lot and walk a lot in nature, and foraging and knitting, but I would say lots of movement, but movement that makes my body feel good and my mind also feel good, because recently exercising for me has been a bit, it triggers some toxic behaviors, I think. So I love movements that make sense, like walking, swimming, dancing, and I don't want to force and push myself too much. So I would say lots of hiking, lots of time spent in nature, and foraging and cooking amazing food and eating amazing food. I would say that maybe my perfect self-care day would be me going out and then coming home and finding amazing food. Eating amazing food instead of cooking for once, but also cooking is fun and I love it. So, but I love all self-care practices almost. So, but thank you for this beautiful question. What's your favorite fiction book? Oh my goodness, I am not a fiction books reader. Like, I think I would love to read more fiction books if I knew like where to start. I would say for now it would be The Hobbit. I think Tolkien is just an amazing writer. He just creates worlds that are just magical and so full of many elements, So I think Tolkien, The Hobbit, I would say. But if you have any suggestions, I really like kind of like wooden fairy, hobbit, fairy tales. If you have any suggestion, please let me know. When will you visit Scotland? I'd love to hang out and knit. I will love to hang out and knit as well. I don't know. I heard that Scotland is a beautiful country, very green, very fairy tale like, and I would love to visit Scotland, and I'll make sure to make space for that sooner or later, who knows, but I'll make sure also to contact you if I'm coming to Scotland. I really like you as a person and your podcast. Please tell us how and when your knitting journey began. Already answered to that question, and thank you. How did you meet? What made you decide to go to Italy? I guess you're asking me how me and Mika met. I received this question already, I think, on a YouTube post. It's a long answer. I would say we met in Spain. We were doing a voluntary service program, and we met in the same office and in the same apartment, and we started to be very good friends, and then things bloomed, and many things happened. So we met in Spain, and how did we decide to go to Italy? This question is just, it opens up a huge chapter. So I think I talked about it on a video that I'll link below. I don't want to say like, look at that video, you know. But it's a very long question, and this is gonna take me so long if I'm gonna answer it. We've been traveling a lot and searching for our home place for a long time, and Italy has many things that I'm not sure if I like, that I don't like actually, but I think there is a very fertile and rich ground to live off the land, which is kind of our dream, and we're still looking for a house and a land, and I don't know, it feels that it's taking forever, but we are taking the time to do that, and we're looking around, and if we'll find something, we'll go for it. If we don't, we'll look more, and I hope we'll find something here. I don't know if it will be in this region or in another one. It's been a long journey. If you live in Italy and have a property that is a bit a bit private and surrounded by woods and forest, contact me please if you want to sell it, you know. We are looking for it, but it's a longer question, and I think I answered a bit on my other video, so if you're very into knowing a bit more about that, there are many videos that I made also where we were living in Portugal and then moving to Italy and then moving from Italy to Portugal. Like I made many videos, and I'm not saying like go and watch all of them, but maybe you can get, you know, some inspiration, especially if you're interested in moving to Italy. Otherwise, maybe in the future I could do a video with Mike sitting next to me, and we can talk about this again together. It would be, I think, more fun than me just going over and over. But thank you for asking. What's your favorite food? This question is so hard. I love food. I think another person also asked me on YouTube, let me see, asked me about like what's my diet, I think. Let me find it. But so my favorite food, I would say right now, it all depends on also what stage my body is in. But I think my favorite food is bisho, which is a very traditional dish from this specific area where I am. I don't know if you know that. I don't think many foreign people know that Italy doesn't only have, you know, the classical Italian food that probably the rest of the world knows about, but every region has its own very different and traditional dishes, which I think is beautiful because every region has different, you know, landscape and cultures and, you know, biosystems. So there are very many different type of foods that back in the days people would eat and became traditional foods. And so this this dish is called bisho and is literally foraged ingredients like chicory and some spinach they are adding now, and they are sauté in a pan with lots of oil and salt, and then there is people make a dough, very thin dough with just water, salt and flour, and they make this thin dough and they fill it with these nice foraged veggies, and then they roll it so it becomes kind of like a snake, and they bake it in the oven for about 20 minutes, and that's it. And that's the most delicious thing ever for me right now. So it's a very simple, very simple dish, but I think it's beautiful that people are still eating it and still using foraged ingredients that they find around them to make this dish. So I love it. Maybe one day I can make a video recipe so you can learn to make it as well. Okay, yeah, I found this similar question. I love your podcast, it brings me joy. Do you follow any diet health philosophy? So I do. I think that what is the most important things that we can do is to really go back to understand our bodies, like to understand. I think there is a boar. I mean, I heard it. I heard him. Hello? Hello? I don't know if I'm afraid of boars. We'll see. Okay, so I think that it's very important to understand our bodies and what our bodies need. It's a long process because we've been bombarded, especially I think women, but in general, we've been bombarded with what we should eat, you know, and kind of distancing ourselves more and more from what our body is actually telling us it needs. And I think it's very important to start the journey to relearn how to understand what like our bodies are asking us to eat. So kind of intuitive eating is interesting. It's a long journey though. It's not really like tomorrow I know what my body needs, I guess. I follow a plant-based diet. I think that plants and nature can provide everything our body needs. I am an advocate for plant-based diets, but I think that what is very important right now is to eat more locally. And I don't think every person can do that, of course. I did a project which was about finding alternative ways to source our food, like foraging. And one of the tutor that I had said, what about the people on the high rise in Hong Kong? And I thought, I just got a bit offended by that question, because I was like, this project is not for them. However, I think that it's important to acknowledge that not everyone can forage and can grow their food, of course, you know, and that's very important. But if you can eat more locally, if you can, you know, support the farmers around you, or products that are more like from your state, at least, I think it's a better alternative than eating, for example, foods that come from the other side of the world. And it's a long, I think, topic. There are many, you know, different opinions and schools, but what my body thrives on, it's a plant-based diet. However, to be honest, I've been eating eggs again, because our neighbors bring us eggs from the chickens around. The chickens, we know them, we feed them sometimes the food waste, organic waste that we have at home, and they're healthy, they're not being harmed, at least not, I haven't seen them, I haven't, you know, seen people harming them, and they're just hanging around in the backyards of people, houses around, and I think it's a great resource, and chickens are not, you know, being exploited in this way when they make eggs. It's just like a natural part of their routines. And so I've been eating eggs again, and please don't come after me if you're a vegan and tell me like, oh, you're not this and that. Like, I don't care. I'm tired of people telling other people what they should do. I think that the best thing that we could do is to learn and inform ourselves, and to not, you know, harm the animals and the environment. But please don't feel, you know, judged or anything from this. I think that everyone can try and is doing the best they can, and we can all improve and we can all change. But that's what I'm doing. That's what Mika is doing. We like, you know, to eat lots of plants, and we are very, very strong. We love that, you know, we love eating a lot. We eat a lot, so it's just amazing. But you know, I know that this is kind of a sensitive topic, and people just like have their own opinions, and I'm honestly not interested anymore in knowing everyone's opinion about food, because I want to follow what my body needs, and that's a journey in and of itself. So I'm focusing on that rather on what people are telling me to do, you know. But there is lots of literature about that, lots of scientific literature that you can go into it. If you want, you can check the YouTube channel Nutrition Facts by McGregor, I think it's called, Michael McGregor. And I really like the fact that he has so much, you know, he's a doctor, and he's explaining a lot of things about different diseases and different, you know, type of dietarian choices. And so I do follow a kind of a, you know, a plant-based diet, but I can't call myself 100% vegan because I'm eating these eggs. I wouldn't buy eggs though in the supermarket, but I'm eating these eggs from from the neighbors, because I think that locally is sometimes better, and I cherish them a lot. But my advice is try to understand what your body needs and trying to do less harm as possible. I can just be an example for myself and for the people around me. And I'm as healthy as I can. I have my own health issues sometimes, and I think it's mostly because of, you know, psychological reason, because maybe I'm not good at asserting my boundaries, and then like I get overwhelmed and stressed out and so on and so forth. So but we know that, you know, populations that lived on a more like plant-based diet over the course of centuries have been more healthy and healthier than other populations that are eating on a high animal protein diets. Okay, so my goodness, it's been so, this is taking 45 minutes, my goodness. Okay, so favorite food and my diet thing, I've replied. What countries have you visited? Where would you love to go for vacation? My God, I visited many European countries, many, but I haven't been to the US or Canada, you know, North America, to the Americas in general. South America, I haven't been to that part of the world. I never been. I'm sorry. I would love to check it. I never been to many parts in Asia as well, which is huge. I've been to India, to an island close to India. I've been to some parts of Africa, but I would love also to, you know, explore more of that. I've never been to Russia and the poles. And I never been to England actually. Also, that's pretty, it's a closer country than others, and I would love to check it out. I would love to check many countries, but right now, also this last part of the question, like where would you love to go for vacation, I'm honestly really striving for rooting down and finding my home. So that's something that I really, really need. That would be my best vacation, I think, to find my home, because we've been moving a lot, and, you know, honestly. But if I have to pick a place that I would like to visit, like for, you know, relaxing and vacation, would be the Azores, which are these Portuguese islands in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. I thought they were boars, and I think it's gonna rain. This is a mess. No, it's not. I'm doing great. So yeah, I think the Azores would be something that I would like to visit soon, but we'll see. How do you make your wooden things? Stitch markers, button, etc. I'm so inspired by them. Thank you. I have a video where I show a little bit how we make our buttons. The rest of my wooden creations is actually a very simple process in terms of steps. The first thing that I do, I look at the material that I have and I see what the material can offer me. So if, for example, these wooden pieces that I have are from olive tree wood, and I just, you know, see the different veins and how the wood looks, and then I cut it in different pieces and I just shape the different pieces with a file and a sandpaper, and then I drill some little holes and I put maybe a hoop, or, you know, depending on what I'm making. but it's generally I like to just see what the material has to offer, and then and that will spark some creative process. I think just, you know, trust that you can make something beautiful, and don't put any expectation on you, but just, and the first thing I think is to enjoy what you're doing, enjoy the process, enjoy, like, if you really like the material, I think something beautiful will come out. Just trust the process, I'll say. But if you want to know how to make buttons, check that video. I'll link it in the description box so you maybe get some inspiration. This question is nice. I mean, all of them were nice. When you don't understand a pattern, a knitting pattern, what do you do to figure it out? So I would say that's not what I do first, but I think I want to improve and do that. The first thing to do is to maybe ask people that already knitted that garment help, or like some clues and tips, and then ask the designer. Designers are there for you, you know, to help you. But what I personally do is to check onto the pattern page if there are other people that knitted it, and see if other people got stuck with some, you know, details that they didn't understand, and trying to figure out if they learned something that I can learn also. And then I would Google a lot, you know, the stitches that I don't understand, maybe some construction things that I don't understand. And another thing that I do a lot when I don't understand something is to put it aside. Not like maybe at first, and it also depends what mood I am on. If I'm really interested in learning a lot about that and knitting that pattern, I would research a lot and Google things a lot. What happens often with me is that I maybe put the pattern aside, knit on something else, and find things that were in that pattern in other projects. And then later on, with fresh eyes and more experience, I pick that pattern and I knit it and I figure it out, you know. So that could be also an option. I hope that is helpful. But of course, it depends. Reach out to people. I think people, especially knitters, but in general artisans, crafters, they love to help. And if they don't, there will be another person help you. Reach out to people. Ask them kindly. Okay, last few questions. I received many questions about foraging and how to learn. Okay, I'm going to reply this question, and then I'm going to make a video about foraging. So where you can start, where you can read and learn about wild plants, the books that I love, you know, some tips and tricks, and courses and stuff. But I'll just reply this. How did you learn about eating with wild plants? I was very interested some years ago in, you know, get more in touch with the environment around me, and I actually approach wild plants with this from the side of herbalism, which is basically using plants as medicines. Maybe not, you know, medicine to treat like big heavy diseases, but like to kind of keep you healthy, and using them a lot. I use them a lot with skincare products. I love to make my own skincare products, so I would, you know, forage wild plants to use them on my creams and balms and salves and soaps and shampoos and, you know, face serums and so on, oils. So there is where I started making my own products. And then last year I did my thesis on about foraging, basically. And so there I learned so much. I bought a lot of books, I did some courses. I would, go out every day and trying to learn a plant a day. And actually I've created a process to help people start foraging. I designed it. So maybe I can share that. And my battery is dying. So let's see if I have another battery. Okay. So I could create a video about foraging only, where I answer some question about foraging, because I think it's gonna be very helpful. I would have loved to have a video where people give me lots of books and resources to start foraging. So it would be very nice and helpful. Do you have any books to read about foraging? Yes, I do. I would love to share them with you. So maybe I'll create soon a video about that. So it's more specific. What kind of yarn do you like best for warm weather knitwear? Shall I give you a brand, or shall I give you? I'll give you the plant-based fibers I like a lot. I think linen and cotton together are a nice combo. I've recently knitted with bamboo and cotton, mostly bamboo yarn, with a little bit of cotton, and it was so nice and drapey, but I don't really know much about it. I don't know how it behaves once you start wearing that garment, but I think linen and cotton would be my first answer. If you want some cheap option, look into Drops Boomul Lin. Otherwise, there is an amazing, that's in Europe though, this one that I'm gonna tell you, there is an amazing brand called Feliz y Punto, and it's an indie dyer, and she makes stunning yarns, and she makes also many yarns from warm weather, so check on that. I think she makes a yarn called Solaris, which has linen, cotton, and maybe silk in it, and it's so beautiful. It costs a little bit, but I think it's totally worth it, and I would love to knit things with her yarns. One day I will, so look into that. Loving your podcast and your kind soul shining through. I would love for you to show more detail about foraging edibles, and would like to know how you learn to identify them. Oh my god, I'm gonna make that video, because there's so much to say, and then you can start. I think that my first advice is to pick one plant at a time and focus on that, and learn everything about one plant at a time. But I'll share resources where you can start foraging, because there are amazing books that helped me so much, and I'm still learning. I'm not, a expert in anything, honestly. So that's it, I think. I hope I didn't skip too many questions. I hope you will get some fun and enjoy to watch this. I didn't get, eaten by a wild boar. No, I'm joking. Boars don't eat you. They just mind their business, but sometimes they're just so scary with these, faces, and there are many wild boars around here. So sometimes that I hear their, strange sounds, I just, what's happening? Shout at them so they run away. But actually, they're interesting. They're interesting animals. They're a bit invasive though. Around here, there's just There's so many. Gonna put my shoes and go. I didn't really drink so much of my beautiful infusion. I hope you enjoyed this. It's probably super long. I am going to put timestamps. I should have said it in the beginning of the video. Gonna put timestamps so you can check the different questions and you can skip the ones that you're not interested. Thank you so much for joining me, and thank you for asking me these questions. I feel so listened to and seen. Thank you. I wish you lots of joy and abundance, and see you next time.